is the most important story there is, because if the people in charge had to look clearly and honestly at the country they preside over, they'd have to confront how badly they have failed. We'll tell you how badly they have failed after the break. And the city kept releasing back onto the street after various crimes, many of them. Watch. Isaiah Thompson has delayed hundreds of subway trains with disruptive behavior. He pulls emergency brakes, he rides on the outside of the cars, and much more. Since July of 2017, that's only, 2 years, he's been arrested 18 times for behavior like this. Thompson is a pest. Not saying he's a serial killer, but he definitely makes life much worse for thousands, maybe millions of ordinary people. He's the kind of person authorities are supposed to protect us from. But officials in New York don't see him that way. Yeah, so they ignored the guy. They were much more interested in protecting him than in protecting the public. And like any untreated, ignored problem, it got worse. Last week, and here's the update to this story, Thompson was caught on camera shoving a woman violently into the side of a train. Thompson is also accused of shoving another passenger into a train earlier the same day. Now, by itself, neither of these is a war crime, but what's infuriating is that they never had to happen at all. Thompson has been a dangerous public nuisance for years, is hiding in plain sight. Many arrests. His crimes only happened because in New York, as in so many other cities run by the left, officials take the well-being of criminals as more important than the well-being of everyone else, like the people who are paying for all of this. Now, by now, you're used to this, but it's part of a much larger trend. In California, for example, green fundamentalism is a bigger priority than keeping the lights on. And by the way, they don't actually care about the environment. The state of California is filthy. In Seattle, racial politics are more important than learning math. In Washington, Ukraine matters more than falling life expectancy. You see the point. So does Seth Barron. He's associate editor at City Journal, and he joins us tonight. So here's the thread that really gets me going thinking about this. The people we hire to do the basic things, like keep the roads paved, keep, the Visigoths from storming the gates, basic stuff. They spend their whole time lecturing us about how they're morally superior to us and working on problems that don't exist and ignoring the fundamentals, and then you wind up with our biggest state on fire and no electricity. Am I making this up in my mind, or is this actually happening?
No, not at all. The last few weeks in New York City have been very painful, I think, for anybody who's paying attention. On one hand, we have Mayor de Blasio working really hard to make sure that every school in the system has the same racial composition as the city as a whole. And then we have crazy people going around, like a guy 3 weeks ago bludgeoned 4 people to death in Chinatown who were just, other homeless people. He was a criminal, violent criminal, drug addict, who was known to the police and to the mental health establishment. Mayor de Blasio just says the same stuff he said to you when he was on your show. Oh, no, this is the safest big city in America. Everything's fine. The only problem is we don't have enough housing for these people and wealth inequality.
Does anybody ever say, it's my job, you hired me and you're paying me and you're giving me bodyguards and helicopters to protect you from this nonsense. I didn't do it because I was focused on being popular. And I'm really sorry that all these people died. Does anybody ever take responsibility for it?
No. They just talk about it as a housing issue. Or, for instance, last week, a guy threw a chair at a cop. He had to be put in a coma, the cop, and the guy was killed. But he, too, was a mentally ill person whose family had called the city a week before and begged them for help and said, look, our brother is spiraling. He has attacked police in the past. He should have been in a psychiatric institution or under, assisted outpatient therapy treatment, which is a form of, compelling treatment. But the city talked to the guy and said, well, there's no threat of violence here. If something happens, call 911. That's what they told his family, which is precisely the wrong thing to say, and it goes even against what de Blasio thinks they should do. So, Tucker, the city, there's a sense of menace and danger that is creeping out. It's like the element is crawling out from under a rock and sniffing the air. Yeah. There's a bad feeling, and it doesn't look good. I mean, I remember what it was like here 30 years ago.
I do too. So, but at the same time, the city the city council, I'm not making this up, has banned foie gras.
Yes, foie gras is now illegal.
French goose liver pate. That's their reaction to declining standard of living?
Yes, and it's a misdemeanor to handle a pigeon. I guess this is what they're concerned about.
Yeah, okay. This is fiddling while Rome burns.
Indeed.
Seth, great to see you tonight. Thank you.
Thanks, Tucker.
Well, government officials in Saudi